wanted to mention that when they use an illegal Social Security card, or 10 people use the same one, the Mexican families only plan to be here for so long, and they're sending all their money back. They never collect Social Security, so they actually, in a strange sense, they're helping Social Security by paying in money that they're never going to get.
Well, except that a huge percentage of illegals actually collect tremendous amounts of money through a lot of our social service programs.
Well, now, the illegals cannot get food stamps, and I work in the system now, and a child born here can, but the illegal alien cannot get food stamps here in this country.
How are you controlling that?
Well, they have to qualify at the Department of Human Services. The Tennessee Department of Human Services is the one that regulates that. And when they go in, if they can't prove their citizenship, they cannot get that.
What they give you a Social Security number?
Social Security numbers don't prove.
What does prove? Tell me what proves citizenship, and we'll ask Mr. Obama to provide it.
Well, that's nasty there.
I'm sorry, Ron. I just couldn't help it.
Yeah, I'm trying to agree with John and Steve a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, I do agree with John. But Social Security, the Department of Human Services is in charge of making sure illegals do not get those benefits, and I think they do a good job. I'm sure somebody slips through the thing, but there are also people that live here in America that slips through the system. So the welfare system's broke; it needs fixed. And then I agree with John a lot. We're spending more money than we need to be spending. We should, just like John says, we take this money from the government, but our local government is predominantly Republican, and has always been, and John brags about that point, and they take that evil Obama money gladly. They've spent tons of that federal money here, and they did not stop and say, that's enough. I think we ought to cut the budget 10% in America across the board. No one was willing to do that. If we're spending too much, let's cut everything.
That's bad.
Let's cut tax. Let's cut Social Security. Let's cut military. Let's cut everything we do by 10%, and we'd save billions of dollars. Actually,
Ron, I was talking to my wife last night, and I told her, I said, we've voted Republican all of our lives. I mean, I'm very honest and open about how I vote, I think. And I said, we probably ought to start voting Democratic now. We're getting old enough. The benefits. Anyway, hey, Ron, thanks for calling.
Well, like I say, I agree with John and Steve on those things. And of course, I will tend to agree with Scott and Franklin a whole lot more. I just had to mention that Bradley County, if there are problems in Bradley County, it wasn't our Democrats' fault.
Yeah, all three of us didn't do it.
All right. Thanks a lot, buddy.
All right, bye-bye.
See you. All right. In the President Obama State of the Union address, President Obama stated he would use the government power to bridge the gap between the rich and everyone else. Let's take this call. We may never get another question in. Good morning. You're live on Woot.
First of all, let me say that I'm neither a Democrat nor a Republican.
Independent, then?
Well, I don't even know if I like that term.
Do you vote?
I may not vote this time around, but I will be at the polls, and I'll let myself be known.
You're not one of those occupiers, are you?
No, I'm not an occupier, but I'm impressed with those people.
Okay.
I don't know if they're doing any good or not, but somebody needs to do something.
Okay.
I don't know if I have an issue with the illegal immigrants. I've been back and forth on that. At times I'd say, get these people out of here. At other times I've worked with them. What really burns me up is when I go to the store and all I see is products from China, and it's from American companies. And I'm wondering, how does that work?
Do you have a question for us, for our panel this morning?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
How does that work with the American companies shipping American products back from China?
All right, we'll talk about that. Thanks, caller.
Well, actually, surprisingly, there were some statistics a week or so ago. Chinese products only account for 3% of the products sold in America.
Oh, that's hard to believe. I think everything in everybody's house is...
Well, I heard you guys talking about this last week, and the real problem in America now is this. We just don't make anything here anymore. it's so
we got to beef it up a little bit.
It's so discouraging.
Where's the beef?
There was a time when my grandfather, who had a tough upbringing, grew up during the Depression, went to reform school. That's a whole different story. But, he didn't get off to the best start in life. And he could still go over here to Dixie Foundry and get a job as a molder and work and make a good living and provide for himself and his wife, who did not work.
Yep.
I doubt that very many of our grandmothers worked during that time period. And he managed to raise 7 kids on a molder's pay working at Dixie Foundry.
That's amazing.
But those jobs are gone now, and they're not coming back here.
Well, actually, I would have to say the one problem you get into is there's so many factors involved here. While manufacturing jobs are down in America, the efficiency of the manufacturing American is actually the highest in the world.
High.
So our actual manufacturing output has not decreased.
Right.
We're more efficient, and while on the one hand we're glad about that, it also means it takes fewer workers to produce that same level of manufacturing output.
Go ahead, caller. Go ahead. You still there?
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning. Let me take a question here.
I've got a question, and I'll hang up and listen to the answer.
All right.
I saw yesterday in the paper that B&B Marina is going to be selling Mr. Jeff Yarber's boat. Are y'all going to be interested in going out and bidding on it?
B&B Marina is going to sell Jeff Yarber's boat?
Well, I don't know anything about that.
I don't know either.
I already own a boat, and I know Stephen does too. And
I've got one.
One's enough. I think we're in agreement that's a hole in the water. You throw money down. But back to that whole American manufacturing thing. The downside really is I have a rule. I call it the 14 to 24 rule. I do a lot of criminal defense, as you guys know, and
Is this dating life, or is this?
Yeah, that's funny. But really, that 10-year period, 14 to 24, is the most important time in somebody's life, I think, because if you can circle the wagons and do a good job and get through school and not make a critical mistake, meaning you don't get pregnant at the age of 17 or get your girlfriend pregnant, or you don't get arrested for a felony at the age of 18, if you manage to avoid a serious injury that leaves you disabled, if you can get to the age of 24 focused without some sort of disaster in your life, you can make some sort of contribution to society. What we have, unfortunately, going on in the country is we have lots of people being born and brought into the country who are growing up here, who at a very early age are making these mistakes between the ages of 14 and 24, and there's no place for them to go anymore. Because although my grandfather could make a mistake and go to work at a factory, the time has gone by for these people, and there's no refuge for them. There's no place for them to go.
Are you saying to find employment?
To find employment
after they've made a mistake.
To do something constructive with their lives.
Well, I think if you want to return American manufacturing to America, you have to make it a priority in a number of different ways. Number one, you got to reduce the corporate tax rate to one that is competitive with other countries. We are, among the developed countries, one of the highest in the world. Secondly, the amount of regulation that is on a business to open here, if you open a new business here, it's excessive. And lastly, I'm not going to suggest that unions are to blame for this, but I believe our union leadership has got to be responsible when it comes to looking at the economic health of a company. And it's one thing to ensure the safety of your workers and to ensure that they're paid fairly and those sorts of things. And I don't think anybody sitting around this table would necessarily disagree that that's a good thing. But when you create a situation where it is a fiscal impossibility for a business to compete based upon something that you're doing, you should take a look at that. And I think if we make it a priority from those three perspectives, American manufacturing will come back here.
Actually, they've had several studies that there's 3 things you can do to be a success in life. If you graduate from high school, if you get married, and if you get a job, any job, and you stay at that job, you will be successful. There's just, and I see it in my own kids, and I see it in a lot of kids this age, there's a disconnect from reality with a lot of this generation. And if they don't like something, they just pretend like it's not the truth. It's not there. And you're like, look, reality is what it is. You know, if you screw up and you do something that ruins your prospects, you don't get a job. And then if you don't get a job, you don't have any money to pay your bills.
But that doesn't change the fact that what we got is we have an entire underclass that is growing in number. I mean, 33% of all children in high school today will not graduate high school. I mean, that's a large segment of the population that's going to be knocking on somebody's door in the very near future.
But, you know, we had a young girl at Rotary Club yesterday that's actually a foreign exchange student through Rotary, and she's from Spain. She goes to school from 8 to 5 from September to June. Now, you know, I look at our kids and I'm like, how are you going to be competitive? These kids are speaking 2 or 3 languages. They're going to school all day. And the really frustrating thing about that is think about that from the parents' work schedule. That makes a lot of sense. Parents work from 8 to 5.
Scott, one of the things I'm going to bring it up because I'm chairman of the board over at the Boys and Girls Club. The biggest problem we have with a lot of these kids are the parents.
That's exactly right.
I'm telling you, the parents are bringing these kids into the world and not paying a bit of attention to them. These kids are basically having to raise themselves, and thank God that we've got places like the Boys and Girls Club where these kids can come in and get involved, and we get to save some of them. We can't save all of them. We've had a great time this morning. Scott, thank you for coming.
Glad to do it,
Steve, thank you for coming.
My pleasure.
Hey, I'd like to invite you back anytime you want. These guys are doing a great job. Are you going to be here next week?
I won't. I'll have a surprise substitute
All right.
panelist for you.
So Franklin will be out next week, but he will have a surprise substitute in here for us. Listen, we've had a great time on Backfire this morning. I want to give you a little bit of the weather because I just think you need to know what's happening today. It's occasional rain showers, high in the upper 50s to lower 60s, southwest winds 10 miles an hour, and the chance of rain 90%. Cover up. Hey, it's been wonderful, and we'll see you next week on Backfire.
So from Hong Kong. In Hong Kong, for the last generation,
I'm
you have a choice.
the Republican
I
candidate
did
for
not
governor.
have sexual relations.
And I realize that this is something he is
We're not going to
inherent.
be able to solve our problems if we get distracted by sideshows and carnival barking.
One Republican, one Democrat, and you discuss the issues that matter in today's local, state, national, and global politics. Hosted by Steve Hixson. This is Backfire.
And buy here, pay here, you